Brian, the final game that we are previewing is back in the SEC. It's the LSU Tigers, who are at 5-3 on the season, are on the road down in Tuscaloosa against the number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide, who are at 7-1. Also riding a 7-game win streak. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Right now on FanDuel, Alabama is favored by 9.5. The over/under is set at 49.5. This matchup doesn't have the same, I guess, magnitude to it that we thought that it was going to, say, 3 weeks ago, but it's a reality of the season of college football that we're in right now, man, and this is what we got going on.
I'm not super shocked that this game doesn't mean as much. I'm not going to lie to you, Trev. It's just, I thought Brian Kelly at least had enough talent to be 9-3. You know, like that's kind of how I felt. But I think this actually adds a lot more intrigue to this game, Trev. Like a lot more intrigue, because I actually think LSU has a better shot to make this a game now than if they hadn't have fired Brian Kelly. If Brian Kelly was still their coach, I'm going to probably say this game is going to look a lot like it did last year. Because they'd be so tight. They'd be so like, oh, God, we can't make a mistake. Coach is going to lose his mind. He's going to go purple face on us. You know what I mean? It's like, I think now you got nothing to lose. You fired your coach. You've got a veteran quarterback. It's your recipe that you talk about, Trev, that we've seen before all season, to where, not that I think they're going to win the game, but, you know, could it be something that allows them to be competitive? Because let's be honest, this game was probably not going to go LSU's way no matter what. This is a series where it's a rivalry, but Bama has the all-time lead 57-27-5. Alabama's won the last 4. So LSU won in Kelly's first year, and then Bama won the 2 previous, and then LSU won in 19. So they've won a couple, but you know, Bama's won 12 of the last 14 since they won the rematch in the title game. So starting with that 2011 title game rematch, they've won 12 out of 14 games. And they got beat by Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that Garrett Nussmeier is in the same category as Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. You know what I mean? So, but now it's kind of like, okay, where's Alabama's head at? Are they looking past LSU? Yeah, you fired your coach. You're not any good. Let's now focus on this big game we got coming up next week against Oklahoma. You know, does LSU just kind of let it all hang out and the talent takes over? I mean, there's all these things to look at in this matchup, but at the end of the day, I still just think the personnel, Brian Kelly was a big part of the problem at LSU. He wasn't the only problem. The offensive line doesn't miraculously get more talented just because Brian Kelly got fired. The pass defense doesn't all of a sudden get better because Brian Kelly's getting fired. The ability to stop a mobile quarterback doesn't go away just because Brian Kelly got fired. And while Ty Simpson is not a runner, he's an athletic kid that can hurt you with his legs, as South Carolina found out, as Georgia found out. So that to me is kind of where I'm at on this, Trev, is while it's a great story, even if the personnel to me is just not such that I feel like LSU can win, barring Bama just overlooking them.
Yeah.
And just not being locked in.
That you and I look at this matchup the exact same way, Brian. I would argue that I think the damage of what Kelly did this season, and honestly with a lot of the returning players that they had going back to last season, I think that damage has already been done. I'm with you. I think it's a great story. Now Garrett Nussmeier can play free, but do you know how hard it is to reverse regression? 100%. Do you know how hard that is? Like it's not now that Brian Kelly's gone, Garrett Nussmeier is going to look like the projected first-round draft pick that he was in July.
I don't think he was ever that.
Which
guy.
Even then, I didn't think that he was anyways. Thought he was fine. Thought he was a little bit of a gunslinger.
Good veteran quarterback. They were going to be good this year because their defense was going to be improved. They had talented receivers. And they had talented running backs. So they've just, for whatever reason, just decided, I know we've got Caden Durham, and I know we got a 5-star freshman in Harlan Berry, but let's just go ahead and not use them.
Yep. But
Sounds like a smart idea there, Coach.
I think the damage has already been done, what Brian Kelly did. And it
Agreed.
goes against my theory of, teams galvanizing around after their head coach is fired. Now, I do think that they will come out more passionately in this game.
Yep.
Like that won't be a question. They're going to be fired up to play this game because I think that, as they should, they believe that they can win this game. Because, I'm not saying that there's a 0% chance that LSU wins, but I look at this a lot like Notre Dame's 2016 defense. Once they fired Brian Van Gorder, they didn't just start playing like a top 20 defense.
Gave up a bunch of points to Syracuse in that next game.
33.
Like 50-something to 30-something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. And that's how I look at it with this team. Now, I think that this team across the board has a little bit more skill than what the Notre Dame 2016 defense did at the time, comparing levels here. But I think the damage has already been done, unfortunately. And I think that similar to what we think that the Boston College win did for Notre Dame and what we think it could do for them this week and kind of like their wake-up call in November, I think that's what the South Carolina did for this Alabama team. Kind of give them a reminder that it's like, hey, teams can sneak up on you.
When you look at the matchup of this game, Trev, here's the issue for LSU. Does LSU have personnel that can – on the perimeter that can make plays against Alabama's pass defense? I do. I think Alabama has a good pass defense. I don't think Alabama has an elite pass defense. I think something that's helped Alabama this year defending the pass is they haven't played a whole lot of teams that are very good throwing the football.
Yeah.
Florida State hit some big plays on them. Florida State only needed to throw the ball 14 times to beat them. Louisiana Monroe, no. Wisconsin, terrible pass offense. Georgia, their pass offense at the time was not very good. And they didn't give Gunnar Stockton any chances to make plays in that game with his throwing arm. They played Vanderbilt. We've talked about this. Diego Pavia threw for less than 100, 200 yards against Alabama. That's kind of what Diego Pavia does all the time. He threw for 160 against LSU and only 129 against Missouri. The only reason he threw for a bunch of yards against Texas is because they were way behind and Texas's pass defense isn't that good. He also threw for less than 100 yards against Virginia Tech, or 200 yards against Virginia Tech, less than 200 yards against South Carolina, because he's a dual-threat quarterback, and throwing for a bunch of yards isn't his game. That's not what they necessarily ask him to do. It's not necessarily a shot at him. It's just not what they ask him to do. And so you continue to kind of look at what Bama's done. Missouri, they're not much of a throwing team this year. And then, South Carolina went 18 for 33 for 222 yards. They're not much of a throwing team. They did do a decent job against Tennessee, but they still give up 268 yards. Those on 44 attempts. That's really the only really good pass offense that they've really played this year. And LSU has the chance to be a good pass offense if they can come out and protect Garrett Nussmeier in two ways. One is try and run the football and keep them balanced. And then number two, can you actually literally protect him? And obviously that was something they struggled with against LSU. And Alabama's run defense is okay. It's not great. Florida State ran all over them. Georgia ran all over them. The only reason Vanderbilt went for $135 is because they were down big. They went for 7.1 a pop. Missouri went for 163 on them, 5.8 yards per carry. Tennessee went for 142, and South Carolina went for 111. Neither one of those teams are very good at running the football. So you can have some success running on Alabama. But you're not going to win this game because you rush for 250 yards. You can win this game because you can do enough to keep Alabama focused on both parts of your offense. If you're just going to drop back all game like they have all year, you're going to probably get beat because Alabama's going to figure it out. So, I'm very curious how this was going to go. But I think if they can find some balance and protect Nussmeier with Aaron Anderson and Barian Brown and some of the receivers they have, I think they can do in their trade. The big tight end they have, Dean, is a really impactful player that I could see making some big plays in this game. If you can do that, I think this team has a chance to move the ball and score a little bit on Alabama early. Can they do it for 4 quarters? That's a different question. That's the first part of this matchup that intrigues me.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add than that, man. I mean, look, this is an intriguing matchup. I think it's more intriguing because of the potential storylines that come out of it, not so much from the football X's and O's matchup. If I'm just being 100% honest, Would it be a great story if, the week after Brian Kelly gets fired, they go down to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that'd be an amazing story.
Yeah, that'd be
Sorry,
great.
Alabama fans. We're looking at this from a Notre Dame standpoint. It would suck for Alabama. I respect Alabama. Everybody knows I'm a big Kalen DeBoer fan, but not as much as I dislike Brian Kelly.
Yep, very fair.
But continue, Trev, because it's just it's going to be
it's going to be really tough. I don't know if we're ready for predictions yet, but I think Alabama is one of the top teams in the country. We can have a healthy discussion on if they're a championship caliber team yet. They have holes. I would argue that
we're having that conversation about a lot of teams this year.
Exactly.
Including Notre Dame, including to some degree. I mean, I still think Ohio State and Indiana have some things to prove a little bit. Like Ohio State looks great, but they haven't played anybody that's like good yet, like real good yet.
Yeah.
Georgia's got holes. Bama's got holes. Ole Miss has got holes. BYU, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas. I mean, so a lot of those teams. But yeah, Trev, you're right. This is still a really good football team.
Yep.
I think you had them in the Final Four. I had them in the championship game before the season. Yep. Now, that looked pretty dumb after week one. Those predictions looked real stupid after week one. But they've settled in and become a good football team. But here's the thing, though, about this game, Trev, that makes it interesting. They haven't been consistent.
Yep.
And especially in a non-big game situation. And that's what's going to be interesting is we're going to learn a lot about Alabama's maturity this season because that was a big problem for them last year. They were a very immature football team. This team has shown more maturity. This team has shown that, hey, we can not get rattled by South Carolina beating us, make plays, do what we need to do to win the football game. Didn't play great against Missouri, but they found ways to win the football game. Didn't play great against Georgia, found ways to win the football game. But there's just been some times where it's like, boy, this team just doesn't look super focused like they should. And LSU's good enough that if you do that, they can hurt you. There's enough talent there to hurt you. That's what intrigues me is where is Bama locked in? Are they treating this like a big time rivalry game? Are they treating this like a we've got something to prove moment? If they do, I think they win this game and win this game comfortably. If they don't, they can get upset by LSU. This isn't a game where LSU has no chance to win. Oh, they're terrible. If they can play well up front on offense, especially, I think they can do some damage to Alabama and at least make it a game. And then at that point in time, it's like, what happens late in the game? The good news for Alabama is they've shown they can win in the fourth quarter. And that was pulling away from Vanderbilt, holding off Missouri, holding off Georgia, pulling away from Tennessee, coming back against South Carolina. They've been a much better second half team than they were early in the year. And so that's why I feel good about Alabama winning this football game. But I'm telling you, if they come out of this game not focused and not locked in, LSU can jump on them because LSU has nothing to lose. Nobody thinks they can win. Everybody thinks they're going to get blown out. They fired their coach. There's all this drama going on. Verge Osbury's going to be the AD, but no, now he's not going to be the AD. They just named a president. And the governor just keeps yapping all the time, and it's just like this place is a dumpster fire. Now I don't think LSU people are going to get mad at me for saying that now. I don't think. But that's to me, that's what makes me nervous if I'm Alabama. Do they just come out thinking we're just going to drop back, throw it 1,000,000 times, and we don't need to run the ball, and they're going to roll over and play dead, and we're going to win this game no problem? If you come into the game thinking that, like Notre Dame did against BC last week, this is a good enough team to jump up on you.
Yeah.
Definitely a good enough team to jump up on you. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'll go ahead and give my prediction. I have the Tide winning this one comfortably. Mm-hmm. I think the damage is already 31-14.
Close.
Yeah. I think it would be a great storyline, but Brian Kelly leaving doesn't miraculously make their offensive line better. I just don't think that. I don't. I think their defense has been good. I think their defense has been a little smoke and mirrors because of some of the opponents that they played earlier in the season. We got left talking about, look at this LSU defense because of what they did to Clemson's offense on the road. Yeah, well, let's look at Clemson's offense now. then it adds a little bit more context to that situation. So I think I'm not saying that their defense is bad, but before, about a month and a half ago, we thought this is like the clear strength of this team. Like this defense is insane.
It
And now it's
was
like, yeah,
really good. It was
but
really
now it's
good.
like it was good against like Southeast Louisiana, and it was like they held Ole Miss in check, which was a good performance.
Shut down
But
Clemson, shut down
yep,
Florida. Now, those aren't
yep,
great offensive teams, but they did what they needed to do. Shut down
yeah,
South Carolina far more impressively than what Alabama did.
sure.
But
So it's a good defense,
but
but
something broke though, Trev. That's the thing, is like something broke mentally in that defense that I just think they're like, we can't keep carrying this team the way that we
it,
have.
that's exactly what it was. That was what I
It goes
talked
back
about
to what
before.
you said. It's exactly. Go ahead, Trev. You're going to say it. Go for
Yeah,
it.
it goes back to what I said before the Texas A&M game. Is this defense finally at a stage where, because that was the week where we talked about this is the week of maturity in college football. Was LSU going to be a mature enough team, specifically the defense, to say, yes, we will continue to carry you for the 8th straight game because the offense still can't figure it out? Like what I am afraid of this weekend for Notre Dame has already come true for LSU. It's either you're in a slump and you got things to work out, and you're at a pivotal point in your season where it's you get it figured out now. You got 4 more games left to kind of like get your feet under you and you start to understand it. That's where Notre Dame is at right now, in my eyes. That moment's already happened for LSU and their performance against Texas A&M. Mind you, they scored over 25 points in regulation, or they scored 25 points in regulation. Their last touchdown came in garbage time. Like their first team offense put 18 points on the board.
Yep.
And that's what broke them. It's like, and so that's what I mean by saying
They tried their best in the first half against Texas A&M, dude. They were battling. They were forcing mark. In the first drive, you're thinking A&M's about to run away with this thing. But then they step up and make plays, and so
I mean, turn the ball over twice, and then gave it right back to their offense to go 3 and out. Like it's just that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't see that changing on the road in Tuscaloosa. I have the Tide 31-14.
It goes back to what I said, Trev. I just don't think that LSU can win this game without getting help from Alabama. Because as I've said a bunch of times, Trev, it's hard to just flip that switch on.
Yeah.
A&M did not just flip a switch on against LSU last week. They stopped shooting themselves in the foot. Mentally, they came out fired up for that game. They just made some mistakes that allowed LSU to get in the game. What I'm talking about is you come in and you're just like, this team is just beneath us, like kind of like they did against Florida State. They do that, then I think this is a really, like, it's going to be a tough game for LSU to win. I do think LSU keeps it close early because I think for everything we said, they're talented on offense. They're going to hit some big plays in the pass game. Yeah, I think it's going to probably take a quarter and a half for the Alabama offense to kind of figure some things out against them. They're going to be loose. They're going to be playing hard. Weeks is still questionable. Don't know if he'll play or not play. But I think early on, it's going to be a competitive game, and it's going to look like, hey, LSU's playing hard. But again, too much firepower for Alabama. Too many issues for LSU. Like you said, like I said at the beginning, you said your O-line just doesn't automatically get better because Brian Kelly's gone. Your pass defense doesn't miraculously get better because Brian Kelly's gone. I don't think. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I've got it 38-24. I think it'll not be as bad as last week, but it'll be a similar formula. Competitive for the first half. Second half, Bama pulls away and wins the game. That's where I'm at.